Today, dramatic video has emerged of a helicopter recovery mission going wrong in mid-air. The footage shows an Israeli Air Force heavy-lift helicopter carrying another helicopter beneath it using a sling-load system before the carried aircraft suddenly detaches and plummets to the ground. It's the kind of incident that looks catastrophic on camera, but officials say the most important detail is this: there were no injuries reported among the crews or anyone on the ground. According to the Israel Defense Forces, this was a recovery mission involving two well-known aircraft types. The helicopter being transported was an Israeli Air Force Yanshuf, which is Israel's local name for a version of the S-70 or UH-60 Black Hawk. The aircraft doing the lifting was a Yasur, the Israeli designation for the S-65 or CH-53 Sea Stallion, a heavy-lift helicopter that has been used for decades in transport and recovery roles. The recovery effort began after the Yanshuf made an emergency landing earlier in the week. The IDF says the helicopter encountered bad weather in the Gush Etzion area, south of Jerusalem in the West Bank. Emergency landings in difficult terrain create a complicated problem. How do you get the aircraft out quickly, safely, and without causing further damage? In many cases, the fastest solution is to lift the helicopter out by air, especially if ground access is limited, the terrain is rocky, or the location creates security and logistical challenges. That's where sling-load operations come in. In a sling-load, the lifting helicopter carries a load, sometimes vehicles, equipment, or even another aircraft, suspended beneath it using heavy-duty cables and rigging. It's a capability the CH-53 family is famous for, particularly in military service, where aircraft and vehicles may need to be moved from remote or hazardous areas. But it's also a mission type with very small margins for error. Images from the operation show the Yanshuf prepared specifically for transport. Its main rotor blades had been removed, and it was trailing a drogue chute, essentially a stabilizing parachute designed to reduce spinning and keep the aircraft from rotating unpredictably while suspended beneath the CH-53. That detail alone tells you this wasn't an improvised move. This kind of lift requires planning, specialized rigging, and crews trained to manage an unstable load hanging beneath an aircraft. Even with those precautions, something went wrong. The IDF confirmed that the damaged helicopter became detached during the airlift. In the video, the carried aircraft drops rapidly, impacts the ground, and comes to rest in rugged, rocky terrain. Subsequent images show the helicopter lying on its side with its tail boom broken off, though the fuselage appears largely intact. Another Yanshuf was also seen nearby, suggesting additional aircraft were involved in the operation, possibly to support the lift, coordinate the recovery site, or provide backup. Right now, the key unanswered question is simple: was this an accident or a deliberate release? Sling-load missions include procedures for jettisoning the load if it becomes unstable or threatens the safety of the lifting aircraft. If a payload starts swinging outside safe limits, or if the lifting helicopter experiences a mechanical issue like a power problem, the crew may have no choice but to release the load to protect lives. At the moment, officials have not confirmed whether the detachment was unintentional or an emergency jettison. What is clear is how complex this type of flight is. Sling-loading another aircraft is not like carrying cargo in the cabin. The load's weight, balance, and aerodynamics all matter. The rigging has to be strong enough not only for the weight, but for dynamic forces as the load shifts and the helicopter moves through changing airflow. The pilot must also fly smoother, more conservative profiles, limiting aggressive turns, steep climbs, and sudden speed changes to keep the suspended aircraft from swinging like a pendulum. And even a small change in wind can turn into a big problem when thousands of pounds are hanging on a cable. The Israeli Air Force Chief, Major General Tomer Bar, has ordered a military investigative committee to determine what happened. Investigators will likely examine the rigging setup, attachment points, hardware condition, weather, flight profile, and the behavior of the load during the lift. They'll also look closely at whether the correct safety thresholds were followed and whether the detachment was triggered by a mechanical failure, a rigging issue, or a crew decision in response to an escalating hazard. The incident also arrives at a time when Israel is looking toward the next phase of its heavy lift fleet. The Yasur is a veteran platform in Israeli service, originally supplied beginning in 1969 and later upgraded through multiple modernization programs to keep it viable. Those upgrades brought improved avionics, structural work, and enhanced protection systems, but age still takes a toll. The fleet has experienced a number of technical incidents over the years, and sustaining older heavy-lift helicopters becomes more difficult as airframes rack up hours and maintenance demands increase. Israel plans to replace and expand its heavy-lift capabilities with the newer CH-56K, a more powerful version designed for heavier and longer external lifts. Israel has selected the CH-56K and intends to name it Onager. While newer aircraft can improve performance and safety margins, today's mishap is a reminder that even with the best equipment, sling-load operations remain inherently risky. In the end, the most important takeaway is that no one was hurt. But the visuals are a powerful warning about how quickly a recovery mission can turn into a crash when the load is suspended beneath a helicopter. As the investigation unfolds, the focus will be on understanding exactly what failed and what changes, if any, will be made to prevent a repeat of this kind of incident.